have to wait till next Monday for your weekly dose of yelling. I'm Andrew Wiebe, and welcome to the Week 22 edition of Instant Replay, where I give you my take on the most controversial calls of the weekend. Let's get things started in Vancouver, where penalty kicks, whistled and unwhistled, ruled the afternoon. With the Caps already up 2-0 in first half stoppage time, referee David Gantar presided over a wild sequence that I think should have resulted in a PK for the home side. The play starts with a bad turnover from Aurélien Collin, who attempts to cover his blushes with an offside trap on Sebastian Fernandez, but it's an easy call for assistant referee Brian Dunn, who correctly keeps his flag down, then is on the spot as Collin hustles back to clear the ball off the line. But what about the reckless tackle on Fernandez that follows from Matt Besler? In my opinion, Fernandez is hacked down before he can keep the ball in with his right foot and should have earned a penalty. Kansas City were lucky to see another PK shout go uncalled in the 69th minute as Fernandez flicked the ball around Sestanovic, forcing the SKC defender to deliver a clothesline that gave Collin time to clear the danger. He'd have gotten no argument from me had Gantar pointed to the spot, but Fernandez doesn't seem too incensed by the no call. Gantar did take matters into his own hands in the 84th minute, whistling Collin for a spot kick that homegrown keeper John Kempen pushed off the post. Sporting's announcers may disagree, but I think Gantar got this one right. Collin has nobody to blame but himself after bear-hugging Omar Salgado. In Sunday's weekend finale between Seattle and Houston, referee Chris Pinso had his hands full as well with another batch of PK decisions. The first came in the 24th minute when Jimmy Traore charged down Boniek Garcia's shot in the box. Pinso and AR Ian Anderson are spot on here. Traore's right arm is away from his body when the shot strikes it. No controversy there for me. There was a bit of controversy, however, on Brad Davis's ensuing PK attempt. Sounders goalkeeper Stefan Frei makes the save, but look how far off his line he is when Davis strikes the shot. The play stood, but I think it's clear infringement, and Davis should have had an opportunity to retake the kick. Pinso had another decision to make in the 54th minute when Obafemi Martins goes down under a challenge from Ricardo Clark. We only have one angle, and it's hard to tell how much, if any, contact occurs. Based on the evidence in front of me, I think play on was the correct call. 20 minutes later, those two were at it again in the Houston box, a play which left no doubt as to the veracity of Pinso's decision. This time, Clark clearly grabs Martin's arm and yanks him around to prevent an open header from a free kick. Martins still wins the ball, but the Dynamo man can have no complaints about the call. Neither can Martins for the red card he saw in the 86th minute after picking up a second yellow. He's late and he's reckless in the 33rd, taking down Brad Davis without playing the ball. And then he slides in from behind in the 86th on Brian Ownby. The math is simple, 2 yellows equals red. On to Columbus, where things weren't quite so straightforward for referee Marcos de Oliveira. I think de Oliveira should have called Gilberto for a foul in the 22nd after a collision with crew netminder Steve Clark, who wins the ball despite the forward's high boot. In fact, the Brazilian is lucky he gets that boot down at the last second, or that could have easily been an ejection. Nothing lucky about the crew's stoppage time PK at the end of the first half. If you look closely, you can see that Justin Morrow's outstretched arm knocks down Tony Tchani's header on goal. Clear PK. Federico Higuain made it 1-1 from the spot following that call in a game the Reds would eventually win 3-2, but I don't think Toronto's second goal should have stood. Jonathan Osorio was in the right place at the right time to clean up Luke Moore's rebound, but there's no doubt he settles the ball with his left arm. Intentional? No way, but Osorio still gains a clear advantage. No goal in my book. Same goes for Timbers defender Liam Ridgewell's disallowed goal in the 25th minute against Chivas USA in Portland. Assistant referee Babacar Jallo nails this one as Ridgewell is clearly offside when Will Johnson takes the shot. Alan Kelly and his crew got a big offside shot correct as well on Friday night in LA, in my opinion. It was awfully close, but from above you can see Chris Wondolowski is even with the last defender when Shea Salinas plays the ball through. I'm not so sure San Jose should have held on for the draw though. I think Quakes defender Jordan Stewart should have been called for a penalty kick in the 64th minute after the ball clearly strikes his arm following a corner. It's outstretched away from his body and he had time to react. Intentional or not, I would have pointed to the spot. Meanwhile, Twitter wasn't happy with Kelly for disallowing a late Robbie Keane goal for a foul on Ty Harden. But I've got no problem with the call. Look closely. Harden is preparing to head the ball, but Keane gets his hip into the defender and puts an arm on his shoulder to hold him down. It may not be egregious, but that's a foul. Next we head to Dallas, where I think the home side were fortunate to get the call that led to their second goal, a penalty finished off by Michel following a foul on Marvell Wynn. Wynn may have been ill-advised to dive in on Tesho Akindele, but I think he gets the ball and even manages to play it to his teammate before minimal contact brings Akindele down. Referee Jose Carlos Rivero immediately points to the spot, and I have a feeling Simon Borg would agree with that call. But I think Wynn takes the ball and barely touches the man. I would have waved play on. I've got no complaints about the 86th-minute PK called by Rivero on Javon Watson. Watson clearly gets a piece of Gabi Torres, causing his legs to get tangled up as he drives toward goal. Good call there. But what about Raul Fernandez waltzing off his line on the ensuing spot kick? Torres converts, but that kick could have been, and should have been, retaken had the Peruvian made the save. 2 more penalty shots in Chicago for referee Ted Unkel. Sense a theme here, folks? The first comes in the 8th minute when Roy Miller pulls down Fire midfielder Alex, who collapses in the box but doesn't get a call. I think that's a foul. Look at Miller pull him down, but if so, it occurred outside the area. For me, it's a free kick and nothing more. And while New York may not have been happy, I thought Unkel was right to whistle when Ambrose Oyongo crashed into the back of Quincy Amarikwa in the 37th. The challenge is from behind, doesn't come anywhere near the ball, and the contact, well, that's not debatable. That's a textbook PK in my book. We finish up in Sandy, Utah, where a few DC United players may have gotten off easy. Just 4 minutes into the match, referee Hilario Grajeda had a big decision to make as DC midfielder Jared Jeffrey made a late, dangerous challenge on Carlos Salcedo. Jeffrey saw yellow, but I'm not so sure this shouldn't have been a red card. Not only is he extremely late, but Jeffrey studs her up and he rakes down Salcedo's shin and onto the top of his foot. It's early in the match, but I think that fell under serious foul play and deserved a sending off. Finally, the incident that really got people talking this weekend. Hate him or love him, Eddie Johnson has a knack for becoming the center of attention, and rightfully so this week after the DC United forward wound up and kicked the ball at Salcedo after being called for a foul. The recent MLS precedent varies here. The Cruz Bernardo Anor kicked the ball into Chris Duval of the Red Bulls earlier this year and was ejected by Unkel, but his suspension was successfully appealed. TFC's Jonathan Osorio, meanwhile, got 2 games after kicking the ball into Kosuke Kimura's head in 2013, which the Disco ruled endangered the safety of an opponent. Now, was Salcedo endangered on this play? I don't think so, but Johnson knew exactly what he was doing, and for me, it's violent conduct and a red card offense. Anor may have gotten off without a suspension, but it's going to be a long week for DC as they wait to see if EJ will be granted the same clemency. That's all we have for this week. For editor Albert Lanzello, I'm Andrew Wiebe. See you next time.